Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Beyond Influence. I am one of your co-hosts, Kwame Appiah.
Hey everyone, Scott Sutton here. Super excited for today's chat. Let's get into it.
Yes. So today we are very lucky to be graced by one of America's sweethearts ever since his most recent experience on Perfect Match. We have seen it all over his walls. People are saying we love this guy. So we're very happy to have him. Somebody who's a lovable, just charismatic, great person. Welcome today to Beyond Influence, Izzy Zapata.
What's up, man? Thank y'all so much for having me.
We are very excited, man. I just want to roll off with something easy, get the juices flowing. How's your week been so far, man?
Honestly, man, it's been good. I mean, I have no complaints. I've got a lot of support from everybody through Perfect Match, and compared to a lot of my other castmates, love them, but damn, there's some drama going on that I didn't even know about. So, to say the least, I'm doing a lot better than most. So,
yeah, man. So funny story how I met Izzy. I love funny encounter moments. I remember we both ended up in the same hotel for the Love Is Blind season 6 reunion, but we didn't know that until the next morning because we're both in Target. We haven't seen each other yet. I'm coming down one aisle. He's coming down another. And I see an associate and I'm like, hey, where can I find the steamers? And the person points in one direction. And then from one side of the aisle, I just hear, oh, you too? So I turn around. I'm like, oh, I know that guy.
It was so crazy. It was like a starstruck moment because me and my girlfriend are walking through Target and you see Kwame hauling ass, like walking from afar. And I was like, babe, I think that's Kwame. And sure enough, we get closer and I was like, holy shit, it is him. But we love a man who keeps his clothes ironed because that's all. Bottom line, that's why I was there. I was like, I cannot go with my clothes wrinkled.
Oh, that's amazing. So how's life been post show, as everything's now coming out and I don't know the exact timing, when was shooting versus now, everything kind of going live?
Live post show, man, it's been good. Obviously, it's kind of like how Love Is Blind. They drop the episodes, every week. So it went in waves. The first week was very cringy and embarrassing, but so we actually filmed, I guess, to bring you back, we filmed that show August of last summer. So it's been going on almost a year now. The airing is a lot faster than Love Is Blind. Love Is Blind for us was like about a year and a half. And which was crazy was my season of Love Is Blind hadn't even came out yet. I went to film that show, was gone in Saloon for about a month, got back in September. 2 weeks later, Love Is Blind airs. So it was just like a boom, boom. I was like, dealing with, how it is, just exhaustion and mentally from filming, and then you get back and then boom, having to deal with a whole different beast of finally being in the public eye and social media and trolls and people that love you and you know how it goes. So it was a lot, but I mean it was a fun ride for sure.
Oh, that is so funny, man, because I don't think a lot of people as they're watching Perfect Match, you can go out and actually find out about it, but people aren't exactly conscious of the fact that Perfect Match was filmed way, way back in the day. And people are always like, oh, what season was this? People are always trying to stitch together the timeline. So for everyone to know, usually, and I know this happened to Bartiz as well. Some people end up filming Perfect Match before their actual season of their, actual show comes out. So there's a whole lot of twisty, turny timelines, and it creates just a really funny dialogue, man. But obviously, as you went through Perfect Match, you had some highs, some lows, some interesting parts, and overall, you came out as a favorite. So we love that for you, Izzy. I want to know, as you were going through Perfect Match, what were some of your favorite things that you actually encountered as you were filming this?
Yeah, some of the favorite things, honestly, was just getting to experience different personalities from different shows. And it shows when you're in the house, clearly you can see me, Jess, Micah, coming from a Love Is Blind background. We are in it for love, you know what I mean? And then you have Too Hot to Handle that's just in it for a fun time, you know what I mean? So it was crazy and cool to also off camera to kind of pick everybody's brains. And my shows hadn't aired yet, so that's what I enjoyed the most is I got to learn from everybody, like, hey, how do you deal with social media? How do you maximize on it? And I got a lot of good advice, from some people. Micah helped me out a lot. Dom gave me, some advice, and a lot of the other guys. So it was actually pretty cool in a badass house, and also just being at the resort if I wasn't in the villa. So it was a good time. Exhausting, but a good time.
That's awesome, man. And contrasting the two experiences and kind of the way stuff came out, maybe it was different. But what was your experience kind of post airing of Love Is Blind and that kind of wave of social versus now as Perfect Match is coming out? Like, how's the dynamic different?
I would say, obviously, like Love Is Blind is one of the, if not the best reality TV show on Netflix and the most popular. So that was rough, man. It rocked my world. You're not used to it. And so just dealing, and like Kwame said, you have your ups and downs in the show. And so again, it came in waves as the episodes, aired different weeks. At the beginning, first week was great. Second week, boom. I had one bad moment, and everybody made sure to let me know I had that bad moment. So like one day you're an asshole, then the next day they love you, and then at the end of it you can't win. People love you, people hate you, and it took a lot, man. It's emotionally and mentally exhausting, because at the end of the day we are human, we are normal people, and I think people don't really realize that when they're sitting behind a keyboard. But I think I'm very grateful for the experience, just because it gave me thicker skin. It helped me learn how to process my emotions better, how to manage them. And so when Perfect Match came out, I'm a lot more lighthearted. I think it's a lot easier to make fun of myself and just have fun with it, and interact with the public. And so that's why now that Perfect Match just came out, I'm honestly just having a blast with it. It's been fun.
Yeah, I think the transitioning to understanding, like, trolls are just trolls. I was going to actually do a reel about this the other day. Like, a big maturing moment for anyone in social media is when they realized, like, trolls are really just like lonely, miserable people who just like have nothing better to do. Right. And it kind of sucks. And I hate to be so direct about it, but sometimes, like, you notice that, because trolls are usually people who have created a fake account and are just like typing from it. Like, they aren't even bold enough to show their own face. They just want to in some way create chaos. And I just had a recent post about Tolu, about like her name, and that one went, a little bit more viral than usual. And in that post talking about something else, people were in there talking about me and my experience with my name and blah, blah, blah. And they started, like, they were pouring it on. And what I realized in that moment, I was like, you know what? They're giving me engagement, so I don't care.
They're arguing with each other, going back and forth. Like, please go ahead, keep going.
Yes, please pile on the comments. We'll let it happen. So yeah, that was a big transition moment. I'm really glad that I got to actually learn that from being and going through this experience.
Yeah, it was funny. I saw you post that, and I just saw Kwame, and I was like, oh, here we go. I was like, let's bring it. Let's go. So I'm curious, on the social media front, definitely coming out of the first season, you get hit by the trolls, the notoriety, all these people reacting each week as things come out. You mentioned this slip up moment. What was that journey like, getting used to that public exposure, getting used to dealing with the trolls? Like, you talked about that, that evolution, that growing a thicker skin. What was that actually like? Like, what, how did you deal with that personally?
I would say, man, when they first started trolling, I didn't know how to handle it right away. Like the first day or two, I was taking it so personal. Kind of ruins your self-esteem a little bit, because you can easily just read the comments over and over and let yourself just fall in this hole, and you spiral. And then, luckily, I just had friends and, family and a support system that kind of like bring you back to reality and remind you who you really are. And so after that, I kind of snapped out of it, and I just stopped reading the comments. There was a point in time where I kind of just shut off my notifications because like I just didn't care to see them. I just knew it was best for me. But then after a while, you kind of just have like, again, you grow that thick skin, and then you kind of just like have fun with it at this point. And that's what I've learned and that's what I would do, like make the content, the TikToks, to just kind of have fun. And I think a lot of people have more respect for you when you take accountability and you can laugh at yourself about it. And they'll have a lot more respect for you, you know, after you do that. And that's kind of what I did. And after that, I just kind of had thick skin. I would laugh at some of the stuff people say. And then obviously, if I just knew it was a troll or a burner account, you know, you just learn to ignore it. But yeah, I mean, I had fun with it at the end of it.
Yeah, and I see like you are a lot more active now. I was gonna, kind of mention that is after Love is Blind, and I was the same way. I think I actually missed out on a lot of opportunities like brand partnerships and deals because I actually I silenced a lot of my notifications. I didn't check my Instagram like DMs, like the secret portal, right? Because I think we both know this. I think we talked about this before, but like in your Instagram, there's your standard DMs, people who DM you, people who you know and are connected with. And then there's a request folder, right? And in that request folder, I don't know what the exact categories that filter people into just
filter that out. I've always wondered.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's also a request.
The hidden request. Yeah.
So it just it's like, I forget which friend I was talking to, but he calls it the Twilight Zone, right? Like it's just this, or Pandora's box or whatever. Like it's just this extra crazy hidden folder. And so it was funny because some brands, for some reason, you would wish all the brands come to just the request folder, but some brands do get logged into that like secret hidden request folder. And so, and I also know that that's usually where a lot of the negativity comes as well.
Exactly.
So it's like playing with fire. It's like, I want to see these brand deals, but I also don't want to see the, 10 negative comments I'm going to see in between every random, so it is a weird thing to deal with, trying to figure out how to still, be involved in your social media and take advantage of it, but at the same time, like protect your mental health and be smart about how you're going about it. So I feel you, man. And as you're going through this, I've noticed that you've been very active on TikTok as well. I'd love to ask like an intro question here for how you're going about selecting, like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer TikTok or do you prefer Instagram?
So I'm kind of, I've noticed TikTok is a lot more kind of harsh than Instagram was for me as far as with the trolls. So when Love is Blind came out, I absolutely never hopped on TikTok because it's one thing to read a comment, but it's another thing when you got to see a video of someone actually roasting you, pictures, all that stuff, that hurts. So I would avoid it. But now, I kind of feel like obviously Instagram's a good platform to monetize and brand deals and stuff like that, but also TikTok is I feel like if you have the big enough following, it could probably be better than Instagram at a point in time. But I'm just kind of having fun with it. More than anything, I have been getting more of a following there. So how I determine on what kind of content I make, I just try to make it very relatable to myself. And I kind of just go in and find anything that's happened on the show with me that I can make fun of and make it relatable to people to kind of show that I am normal. Because if you go in and you try to do fake content and do something that doesn't resemble you, it just comes off fake. No one will, appreciate it. But I think what I've learned from Love is Blind to Perfect Match is you just like Kwame said, I did not take advantage of the opportunity to be consistent with my content posting. And it's hard. It's exhausting. It's hard. It does take some work, especially I didn't really know how to work TikTok or make TikToks. And even then, the ones I make are very basic, compared to some people that get some really good editing and effects in there and stuff. But I don't know, I'm kind of getting the hang of it and I'm having fun with it. So as of now, I'm just kind of finding little things that have happened through the show that I can make fun of myself about.
I love that. It's, It's funny. We talk with a lot of folks who have gone through, different shows or different kind of experiences. And it's funny, they all kind of come on Love is Blind or Bachelor, or these are the shows, and they're kind of looking, they haven't found success in relationships. They are looking for the next thing. And it's almost funny between the experience of the show itself, but then also this social media experience. I feel like it's accelerating people's ability to like break down their own walls of pride, of ego, of taking themselves too seriously, of being resilient, able to deal with, all that life throws at you. And in a relationship, you have to be self-assured, but not in an arrogant way. You have to be able to laugh at yourself. I've had so many moments personally where, you just defend yourself out of pride. And then you're like, I'm wrong. Why am I not laughing at myself too? And then you step back and you're like, I'm dumb. I should have just laughed the whole time. Yeah. And I think social media is like this gauntlet of fire. And if you emerge from the other side, you have this newfound confidence where you don't have to defend yourself. You can just let yourself be you and laugh. And I think that's a huge lesson for creators, for anyone in life, is just the faster you can kind of accept who you are, idiosyncrasies and all, and just laugh about it and be able to be real about it, you're going to find a lot more happiness and success.
Exactly. I agree with you there.
I think being kind of breaking down those walls, like I agree with you 100%. And I've noticed that in my content, when I'm more jovial and take myself less seriously, and we talked about this before, it's like the less I stuck to just this rubric of content that I wanted to push out, like it had to be edited in a certain way. I had to edit it through Lightroom, or it had to be done on my professional camera. And it was just like, nah, I'm just like gonna sit my phone up on a stand, click record and see what comes out of it. And, I think the best example of that was my most recent reel about Tolu's name. I mean, I think for a number of reasons, but like with that one, I woke up in the morning and I was like, I thought this was really strange that they did this. I'm just going to put something out there. And I genuinely thought, I was like, okay, maybe a few people will be into it. Maybe a few people will get it. But the way that it took off, it hit me, and I learned a lesson from that. And I was like, when you feel something and you're like, you know what? I feel like a lot of people feel this way too. I'm just going to share it. I'm going to set up my phone. Yeah. It took me 5 minutes to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was a big learning moment for me.
That's fucking awesome. That's how it's been for me. I think, but I just kind of think on the fly. I never really kind of like strategize with it, but honestly, you just do it, set up real quick, throw it out there, and you'd be surprised. That's for sure. That's funny.
So as far as creating content and now, you're working with different brands, what was the transition to try and, okay, I'm going to make something of this. I'm going to engage with brands. Did you go out and pursue a management company? Like, how did you approach starting to turn this into a living?
Luckily, I had really good, support system. I had my manager before, she still works for the C people, but it was like a little bit of like a smaller agency. She had managed like a couple other people on some Netflix shows. She did like Carousel and Mitch, but it wasn't like a huge agency, but she really coached me, and luckily she did it all like for free, because I know you get with these bigger agencies and sometimes you have to hire people. They got to make you your little like portfolio, and I forget what they're called, but anyways, you send that over to like stuffed over to brand deals, had your number and all that stuff. But she was just on me and was just like, you gotta keep making content. You need to try to post 3 TikToks a day, try to post almost every day or every other day on Instagram, and I honestly, like, I would do it for a little bit, but I was like, man, like, I kind of felt like this isn't who I am. I'm not always the guy that's out in public, like, wait, let me stop and take a picture kind of thing. And then after a while, I was like, I just want to be present and, like, not be this social media dude. But then once like the brand deals and stuff started coming, it's like, wow, I'm really like missing out on a good opportunity. I really need to stay on top of it. So, and that's the thing with shows, like it comes in waves, and you're relevant right now, then you'll be irrelevant in like 3 weeks. You know what I mean? So you really have to take advantage of that time frame when your show is trending in order to try to do your best to stay consistent. So, because you can't not do it, and then out of nowhere try to come and do it later because no one's gonna know either who you are or really give a shit, to be honest. So that's why now that Perfect Match came on, I've learned from that, and so all the advice that she's giving me, I've used, and we've actually went to a bigger agency now. She got a job with them, brought me over with them, and honestly, they have a really good team, and they do a lot of like outreaching for me, a lot of negotiating for me. I just really have to make the content, and that's it. So, we just counting the blessings and reaping the benefits. Bless up, baby.
Oh, dude, I love that for you, man. You've obviously been through a whole lot with trying to, just like all of us. So, I think one thing that I sometimes fear as somebody who wants to be more heavily involved as a creator, and I used to say this in the beginning of Beyond Influence when I first started with Later, I wanted to become a better influencer. And I'm starting to realize like the little things that are helping me to get there. So I do feel like I'm becoming a better creator and a better influencer as time goes on. There's a lot of things that come with it, but you're right. There's a certain trajectory that you hit when it comes to really peaking with being able to gain followers, right? Your ability to gain followers, like it almost feels like this massive ramp that goes up as your show is on. And then at the end of your show, when the finale, shows, that's when you gain your most, right? After my finale, I probably gained about 25 to 30% of my followers then. And then after then, it slows down and starts going down very quickly, right? And so your relevance, but also your ability to gain followers, it stops significantly because if you can capitalize while it's on this up, you don't just gain at the trajectory of the show. You're also gaining at the trajectory of everyone who was watching the show, then sharing the things that you're sharing, and then their audience seeing it as well. So it's a really, really, really important way to like make sure that it's not just staying relevant, but also like growing your audience as you are most relevant. So it was definitely something that I had to learn a lot about. And right now, I'm back on this journey of trying to figure out how to gain followers outside of the peak of my own show and really gaining my own audience because I'm still learning to like create my own little niches as a creator and, trying to find where I fit into. And so as I can really mold those aspects, hopefully I can bring followers in there. Like as I become more of a fashion creator, hopefully I can bring people from fashion followers in a fashion community, and then a little bit more from photography and a little bit more from lifestyle. So yeah, it's an interesting balance. And as someone who has now been in the creator world, you've worked with a decent amount of brands. I know you mentioned like having worked with Jimmy John's early on in your creator journey, but I'd love to know what your favorite partnership so far has been.
Honestly, man, I would say Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's was fun. I think that was the first time I actually had to like try and act, and like on scenes, and yeah, that was a fun one. It's because they twisted it up with Love Is Blind and took what actually happened, the parts that happened to us in the show, and just kind of made fun of it, so that was a really fun one. And also I got to meet some of the other like Love Is Blind alumni that I never got to meet before, which was a really cool experience. So I think that one was pretty fun. I did one with Chime, and that one was pretty funny just because I had bad credits. Telling you, I had bad credit at the time. And I thought that was pretty funny. But that one was more like they just came of like, this is what we need you to say, which is like very black and white, like advertisement versus, Jimmy John's was just like, it was more personal, more personable for me. So yeah, I think that was my favorite one so far.
Yeah, what we love to dive into like what was so special about it. I know you said it was like more personal, but I think you said like they flew you out to New York and stuff like that.
Yeah,
what was the whole? What was that experience?
New York. That was my first time in New York. It was beautiful. It was like it was snowing. It was cold as shit, but it was snowing. It was beautiful. They put us in a really nice, cool looking, like industrial modern hotel, and obviously we got to like hang out with all the other alumni and then everyone from Jimmy John's, and we all, go out for drinks and martinis when we're done, filming and all that stuff. And Yeah, man, it was just overall good. They gave us some swaggy merch too, some Jimmy John's merch. So these like dope, like champion jackets. So it was a good time, man. That was by far my favorite one so far.
That's awesome. It was funny watching that back, because it's like, you know that it's like you're trying to hold it in the whole time, and it's like, but I'm thinking about Velvet, and you're just like, you're trying to like hold it laughing, and I'm just like, it's so funny because you know you're acting and you're like trying to hold it together. I think that was like what made it for me, is I was like,
Kwame,
he wants to laugh
season,
so
right?
hard.
The dude that puts the eye drops in his eyes.
Oh no, it was the season before mine.
And they had me do the scene because, like, obviously, I cried like twice in my season of Love Is Blind, and they had me crying because Natalie, like, this is me for a cookie, and they made me like, but they just showed this part. I thought it'd been hilarious, and then like. And then we put the drops in my eyes, and I don't know, it was a good time. They made some good content that didn't fully make it to the commercial, but yeah, by far my favorite one so far.
So it's interesting. You talked about, creating content, saying, oh, this isn't me. I'm not the guy to stop and take a picture. And now kind of finding your own way. Mm-hmm. And I think for me in there's this lesson of like, if you can bring together these two disciplines or whatever and make it your own, and your own representation of how you want to create content, how you want to engage an audience, what you find meaningful to share, like, how did you bring that together to a point where you're at today, where you're like, you are successful, you enjoy creating content, at least it looks that way.
Yeah.
And, you've kind of found your own way. What was that journey like? And for creators who do want to share their passion, their skills, whatever it might be, but don't feel like an influencer, don't feel like taking pictures all the time, how do you encourage them to like bridge that divide and make it their own?
I mean, I will say now I'm a lot more comfortable. I think I was just always so worried to be like, oh, what are people going to think of me when I'm in the middle of like a restaurant or at a game or something, and I got to snap a picture. Like, I don't want to look like that cringy dude. You know what I mean? You kind of hit a point where you're just like, all right, like, I'm doing it. It gets me paid. You know what I mean? Like, it's good for my numbers. And then also, I think you kind of find the niche after a while. Like Kwame said, with now coming into the media, you kind of find what you're getting good at, and the more you keep doing it, the better at it you get, and the ideas just start coming more. But I think for me, I've always done my best in both shows that I've done to just be my genuine self, and so the content that I make is kind of just realistic to my day-to-day life and my personality, which makes it so much easier. So I think you just got to make it very relatable to to your audience as well. Look at who your audience is, make it relatable to them, make it funny to them. Because if you have an audience full of women and you're trying to advertise like men's clothing or something like that, like, yeah, you might get like a little bit of I might get this from my boyfriend, but realistically, and us coming from like Love Is Blind, like 95% of our following is majority women. So it's you got to find like what fits the crowd. So you got to keep all of those things in mind. But I think for me, what's just helped is just make it realistic and relatable.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's funny because we do our analytics and figure out what percentages of our audience, and the way that we can sell to women is very different, obviously, from the way we can sell to men. But we can almost sell to men through women, right? Because like there's a specific way to roll it out. Like if I'm selling to guys, because obviously, like, I'm a big fashion guy, like I said, I have to show that the stuff that I have is really cool because my wife likes it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I could be selling to that 5% of guys that follow me, or I could be selling to their wives to encourage them to encourage their husbands or boyfriends. Exactly. So it's really cool how that all comes together. And, now that you've done a few partnerships, have had, some ups and some downs through those, would you say that there's any, partnership that you went through that you thought to yourself, maybe, and you don't have to name drop, but like, do you remember an experience where you're like, I didn't really enjoy this partnership?
Yes. Yeah, it was kind of one recent, and just because like also like that's one thing you learn too, and it's hard to make that transition because like we were just normal people before we ever did any shows, working a normal job. That and I don't mean this in like a cocky way, but it's like now you have to realize your worth. Like, hey, you are, like people should be lucky to be able to hang out with you or do the content with you. So like, don't settle for less. And I think once you go through these contracts and stuff, like I think you realize like your worth on like how much you should get paid. Like I used to be very grateful just for anybody to even send me $500 for a deal, you know what I mean, or $300 when it's way up there. You should sell yourself for more. And so it's like I would get some, and I think the ones I had more recently, it was just like it was an amount that wasn't very much, and they kept us for way longer for content filming and stuff like that. And I don't know, it wasn't very professional following the contract, I would say. So at least not for what we got paid. Yeah, I think that was it. I don't want to say too much. But.
So, AKA pay them more, right? Make sure that they understand their value and stick within the contract.
Yeah.
Come on, brands. Yeah. We can do better.
Like, you can't ask me to do so much stuff like for not much, you know what I mean? So, like, know your worth. Know your worth for sure.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We've heard that from a lot of folks. I think there's two different pieces at play. It's understanding what products, what services that you want to support, that you want to share with your audience, that you believe in, that you can be authentic. And then, having a good viewpoint on the value that you bring and the value of your time and, the value of your support for a brand, and being really clear and transparent is going to lead to a good partnership in a lot of different ways. And so I think, when we work with brands, we always encourage, to pay fairly, to understand the value that you're getting, to have really great creator relationships. And I think over time, brands do get reputations with creators, and creators get reputation with brands. And so we want to, build both sides of the ecosystem and make sure that it's a really healthy, like great relationship for both sides. Because for you, if you're just feeling like you're getting taken advantage of all the time and pushing products you don't believe in, you're not going to hang around. You're not going to continue to do that. And in the same way, you're not going to work with brands if you feel like you're being treated poorly. And I think a lot of younger creators or new creators, they don't have good guidance or an understanding of what it is that they're worth, and so getting the right guidance is pretty helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm curious, we asked this question to a lot of folks, but if there was one brand that if they came knocking at your door, you'd be completely stoked to work with them, what's one brand deal that you would love to have?
Honestly, man, Melon hats. I fucking love their hats. Their hats are not cheap. They're like $75 a hat. And I'm a big hat guy. Just because obviously these are actors, so like they're good for the gym. I'm over here advertising for them, but when I'm out in the sun, I'm like, my head, since I'm bald, it gets burnt. So like I have to wear a hat sometimes, and so I would love them. 100%, man. I've tried, honestly, but they try to do like an affiliate kind of thing. I'm like, no, I want it. Like, look at my profile, man. I'm wearing y'all's hats and all my pictures. Like, I'd be perfect for this. But I think them are like Tito's. I love Tito's vodka. Clearly, I'm known for being a party from a drinker. I felt like it's fitting. So Tito's, if you're watching, hit your boy up.
I'm waiting for you to trademark your vroom and skirt game and like credit card game or something around it.
I couldn't even. I hope I tried my best to explain that to make it make sense, but I think some lady in my comments put it very easy to describe, and I was like, well. Oh well, but vroom and skirt. What else, man? What else has been a standout? I don't know. I would say right now for me, perfect match, clearly hammered the majority of the time. So, so any liquor deals, hit the DMs up.
All right, we'll try to package this. That's something we're working on right now. I want to try to get these creators desired partnerships packaged up and sent to a bunch of these brands and see if it works out. So hopefully we got you.
Oh yeah.
For sure. So as you think back now with everything that you've done and where you've gotten to, do you think that you would do anything differently, right? If you could give yourself any advice as you were starting out, is there something you wish you did differently as a creator?
Yeah, I wish honestly I would have maximized a lot when Love is Blind came out. Um, as far as posting content more consistently. Um, that's something I definitely wish I would have taken advantage of a lot more. And engaging more with people like in the comments and stuff to raise my engagement numbers and stuff like that. Like those little minute things make a big difference. And I honestly wish I would have just done that.
Yeah, I love that. I think opportunity, is limited and fleeting, and anything in life, like, jumping on the opportunities as they're presented. And in this case, the release of Love is Blind is a huge opportunity. So I think it was, reflecting on what Kwame had to say also, I think there are these waves and kind of ebbs and flows of a piece of content will hit, a reunion show will happen, some other thing will happen, and capitalizing on those moments to drive engagement, to drive net new engagement with people who are not in your core audience today. It's being really thoughtful about capitalizing on those moments is
honestly
is
what's helped a lot. Kind of in between shows, I started doing TikTok lives, and that's a good way to monetize off of it. I had obviously became friends with some of the cast from Perfect Match, so between then, some were actually doing that. They were kind of part of an agency that would do TikTok lives, and they kind of guided you on how to be like a good like a TikTok live creator. And they would send us like a video every day on how to do it, and I would do TikTok live for a while, man, and people just will pay you. But a thing from doing those was also you just gain a following. So like I would gain like 1,000 followers in a night by doing like an hour and a half live, because you pop up on people's For You pages, they see you, you do something fun, like play some music, do something, play a game, I don't know, something, but you engage them, they follow you, and then next thing you know, you have 1,000 new followers, by the next day. So that was something I kind of did that helped out a lot, to kind of help me gain followers, because like you said, you do hit that point where no one's really following you anymore. So that did help a lot.
I'm curious on the lives, on the format, you said you just hop on and get on. Was it your kind of core followers? Did you get how did you approach the TikTok live piece? Like, did you just kind of no plan, or did you start to find certain things that worked?
Kind of found my niche for it. It's kind of the same thing. I kind of got like, they would send us those videos, and it was like, if you do these things for 14 days straight, you'll get a following, like a consistent following kind of thing. And to be honest, I didn't watch like all the videos. I only watched probably about the first 2 to just get me going. So what I would do is like obviously see the crowd that I'm getting into. So like I would do like chill Monday nights. I would do like what's love got to do with it kind of thing, and I would have like my core audience that I got when I was on Love is Blind, and the following I was getting from that, I would do, advice, like let's do, like it was majority girls, so like, ask me a question, I'll give you a guy's perspective, and I'll be playing like music in the background, lightly, and some people will be like, oh, play this song, play that song, and they have like little gifts that they send you. So I'd be like, oh, like on my season of Love is Blind, I was getting roasted for having paper plates, and so I would get creative with it, and I'd be like, oh, if you want a special request for a song, send a certain gift, and I'll write your name on this paper plate, and I'll have it, up so your name's on the screen, and I'll play your song of choice, and people will just start, doing that. And then I'm also just giving them love advice, and then the girls start chatting in the comments like, "No, girl, leave his ass," or "He's cheating," or do this. So I would do that. I would do Thirsty Thursdays. Like if someone sent me like a huge gift, I would have like, obviously you can't like show alcohol on TikTok, but I would like take a shot or take a sip of something. Sometimes I would just, just put this on here, but it'd be like water. It wasn't actual vodka, and I'd love to take a shot. But they would send money. You just got to find your niche, and that's what I did. So,
Wow.
and that's what helped me gain a lot of a following for a while. But that was fun. Engaging with them on a live, man, and that was pretty fun.
Wow, strategic.
It is strategic. They taught me that in those videos. Like, you got to like all about your background. You got to think like what captures the eye when, someone comes up for it. So I would like put cool lights, light some candles, and just, set the mood kind of thing. So I had fun with it.
I think it's cool. Like, I mean, we see a lot of like Cameo is a good example. Other things where there's the personalization, the ability to interact, like as well beyond the comment section, like being able to see someone who you've watched on TV or admired, interact with you, respond to your comment. There's just something unique about that experience. So I definitely understand the engagement piece, but it's cool thinking about ways that brands could capitalize on live. Again, there's such an interactive element to it that I think brands could really position themselves well while, engaging with an audience in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
Without making it like too infomercially or,
exactly.
Like watch me cook dinner with factor meal.
Yeah, I actually hadn't ever done a live. So I've joined other people's lives before, but I'd never done a live of my own until I think it was 2 days ago, actually. Chelsea was a little bit slower to get out of bed for the day. And so I decided I was going to make us breakfast. And so I went into the kitchen. I put on some, I think, who was it? It was Enrique Iglesias or somebody. And I was making eggs and bagels, and I was interacting, and I was dancing to the music. And it was like the most random, like it just came to me as I was pulling the pan out. I was like, you know what? I'm about to have about 15 minutes of just like actually enjoying life.
Yeah.
Let me see how that translates to to doing live. So I do think that's a really cool way to connect with your audience, man. I would encourage anybody to do it.
Yeah, hopefully that's some new ideas for creators out there to engage in different ways. And I think like following this formulaic plan of, just post this many stories a day, this many reels a day, like, it just makes you one of a crowd. And I think doing things like live, like the first Twitch streamers, I think about like YouTube Live now, there's so many different ways to engage. And being the first on some of these formats, like I've talked about him before, but there's like a guy who does all the big shoe drops, and he's got 7,000 people on his YouTube Live, just all talking about the shoe drop. And he's got a huge audience, and it's his lane, and it's a really cool way to engage with folks. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So as we get close to wrapping up here, Izzy, I think one last, question to take us away for the day is, what's next for Izzy? Do you have any future plans? Either, hey, it could be tomorrow, could be a week from now, month from now, or a year from now, but we'd love to know what's going on with you.
Yeah, man. Honestly, now that it's just all done, I think just ready to kind of I don't think it'll ever be, fully normal, but I'm ready just to kind of get back to normal life. I'm about to go get my real estate license. That's something I really want to pursue. And I never thought I would say this, but I do miss like a normal 9-to-5 job. And I'll still be doing, the content stuff and all that and trying to be active with it. But now I think I might take a whole nother avenue on maybe tying it in with real estate and stuff like that. I definitely want to do that, man. And I think, I'm getting more serious in my relationship. It's progressing to where I think it's time to, pop that question, man. So I think
you heard it here first. You heard it here first, people.
Yeah, man. I think that's something I really want to do. And just kind of I think I'm ready to just be present, attack the real estate stuff, and just kind of travel with my lady. She's been through it with me for 2 shows now for the ride, and I give props to her, man. She's been my biggest support system, man. Now I just want to kind of get back and and just enjoy life with her. You know what I mean? And see what's next. Trying to get a house too, like you guys, and there's all that stuff's exciting, man. But I think just ready to be somewhat normal again and get my life going outside of the reality TV world.
Well, it's awesome. We're stoked for you. Glad to see you having all the success. Like, love the growth story, and super happy through both the shows. Now you've found your perfect match.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But no, super happy for you, and yeah, wish you best of luck in all of it. And keep creating the content. We'd love to see it.
Yeah, man, for sure. Thank y'all so much.
For sure, man. Thank you for joining us, Izzy. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us today. That is the conclusion of today's episode of Beyond Influence. We will see you all next week. Bye-bye.